right, well, good morning, welcome back. Today I have a big show for you, big show. Like, check out this pile here. I know, big show. So I dumped out both these two containers here. I got two containers I'm going to show you. I'm basically going to show you my whole system. Welcome back to the Homeschool Shopping Channel. I am thrilled you're here. My name is Mackenzie and I am your host. And today I will show you 100 million products. At least it feels that way. I'm going to show you products that I use with my autistic child. And I'm going to show you products I use with my ADHD child. You're going to get to see all the curriculum we are using. I dumped it all out and I'm going to put it back in their baskets as we go through it. And I'll explain to you the system. Now, please leave any questions you have in the comments because I'm planning on doing a full-on homeschool ADHD autism question answer. If you have a problem, let me know. I'll let you know what I used that helped me and stuff like that. So go ahead, put in the comments because that's what I'm planning to do over the next couple days. And I have quite the interesting questions all about, hey, what food do we eat? Did I find that helped their behavior? What about screen time? What do we do for that? What do we do for chores? How do I get a child to homeschool that doesn't want to homeschool and doesn't want anything to do with it? One of the things I would suggest you watch is how I teach, just so you can see how much they know. And you'll see they know a lot of stuff, but I do not spend a lot of time homeschooling every day. So it's how I do it, not really what I do. It's quality over quantity. First of all, I don't do any busy work. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to show you this. But again, if I could pause it for a minute and show you how we teach, you would see exactly what we're doing. But I'm going to put that video up here. I'm going to attach it at the end. So you will see exactly how I teach, because it's just a short lesson. You get to watch it. It takes about 3 minutes and you'll get to see exactly what I'm talking about. And you get to see the demonstration of knowledge in them that they know. And this is how I teach them. Okay. Now, so let's start with, I guess we'll just get into it. So I have an autistic child, I have a child with ADHD. I'm going to start going through this curriculum. Let me start with the read alouds because that's my favorite. So some of the read alouds we're doing this year. Oh no, I got to show you into my book. I'm also going to show you, history too. I can't forget to tell you I have a history for a child who loves history and a history for a child who doesn't want anything to do with history. Okay, so this is what I did first. So first of the year, I sit down and I go through. So these to me are the most important lists I come up with. These are the lists for the subject, and this is my child with autism, for my subjects and what I want to teach this year and what I want to cover. Because I'm not getting all of these books immediately, okay? So this says purchased and completed, so I have notes about it. And this is, my son has ADHD, and it's already changed from this. So I'm gonna show you in and show you, because that's how life is, right? As you start doing it and you're like, oh wait, that's not working anymore. So I wanna cover 4 different sciences this year. I would say 3.5, because we do a ton of science. Now what I do, one of the things that is super important to understand is that while they eat, that is when I teach. That gives me breakfast, lunch, and 2 snacks. So even if I don't do any other instruction, which I do because they read to me every day, even if I don't do any other instruction, I do it during that time. The second thing is handwriting is a separate subject so that we get more done. The third thing is I don't do busy work. And the fourth thing is, actually, I don't even know if I'm numbering this correctly, but the fourth thing is I read to them like their science textbooks. I don't sit there and have them read them to me. Or their history textbooks or anything like that. Reading is also a separate subject, just so we can cover more ground and cover more material. Otherwise, it would be slow as molasses. And we do aside from math, any workbook types that we do for vocabulary, grammar, I'm going to show it all to you. We do that orally. Okay, we do that orally, and handwriting, again, a separate issue. So I'm going to show you that. I have different math for both kids that I went through and I specifically picked out based on them. So let me set this up. I have a bin next to my chair here, that in the afternoon, while they are doing their screen time, they're only allowed a certain amount of screen time. They're only allowed very specific screen times. And this was, again, how I get them to love homeschooling. Next, where I sit is in this chair. And next to it is my bucket of of teacher's manuals, okay? So that's where I do some of the prep, but really, whatever, it's not that interesting. Let me show you some of our read alouds this year. So these books are really good. I'm going to order a lot more of them. I had another one. So these are Little Lights. So they're all different, but this is Can Brown Eyes Be Made Blue? So these are Christian books. These are ones that I want to cover this year, and they all have important lessons in them about God and things that they have learned from God. Like this little girl's like, hey mom, will God really, God answers prayers? And she's like, yes, God answers prayers. So she goes and she prays she wants blue eyes. God, I want blue eyes. I want blue eyes. And then she grows up and she's working so they're based on true stories. She's working at an orphanage in India, not an orphanage, but she's rescuing babies in India. And her prayers are finally answered. She knows why God gave her brown eyes, so that when babies look up to her, they feel comfort in her eyes. So we read another one today, and it went over really well. It was about the guy who started orphanages. And again, it's got a moral, a lesson. It's not long. It's got a lot of pictures. That's the thing about books I read to my kids. Generally, we're not talking a lot of text here. Not too often. This is like the most text I think we'll get, for the most part. The picture to text ratio. We do some read alouds, of course, besides these. These are, I almost want to say controversial, because I've read so many of them. I don't know if they're actually controversial or not. I imagine everything today is controversial. But these, I freaking love them. There's some lessons in occasionally that I'm like, eh. So some of these Tuttle Twins books have lessons that some people might not agree with, but some of them I think are brilliant. Some of them are like the golden rule. This is the golden rule, which is do unto others as you want them to do to you. And what it is if you do revenge to someone or try to get revenge back for something done to you, that's not justice. And so that teaches this. They're at camp. The kids are at camp. It's colorful. So it is a moral now. But other books like this one, The Miraculous Pencil, this is how a product is made. And you don't realize when you look at your stuff how many different people helped to make that product. And again, the kids loved it. It was entertaining. It's interesting. I don't know why. My kids love them. So this one I haven't read yet, The Law, but so these are a big thing, are these Tuttle Twins books that I'm doing this year that I cannot get at the library. Neither one of these can I get at the library. All right, so let's just go through. Randomly, I'm picking out these books. I can do all things. These are art. Drawing. So it goes into painting, but at first it's just teaching basic drawing skills, which the ADHD child has motored through it. The other child hasn't as much. So I want to get back to it and do it. I just want to show you, like, to start. So they're making lines. So it starts very basic, teaching drawing. So this is from My Father's World. I'm using a bunch of different curriculums, secular and Christian. I don't know if you call them secular, but just they're not Christian focused. And but anyway, and this is from My Father's World. God is not mentioned in here so far that I've been into it. So this is one of our sciences that we are going through. I did a whole video on it. I'll attach it at the end. But so I'm doing a backup, but this is from Generations. It is great. It is phenomenal. I will say grade 3 or grade 4 would be my suggestion. Just so that they really understand, like, it explains mitosis. It explains, look at this. These are the pages of the baby, but it also has more pictures. So it's basically explaining you a baby. And in this book, obviously it's called God Made Me. In this book, a baby is as soon as the cell is born. So again, if that bothers you, do not pick up this book. If that's not your thing, because you'll just be irritated chapter after chapter after chapter. But so this is all about like DNA and just a lot of stuff it covers. It's a fantastic curriculum. One of the best that I have seen science-wise. Now we're also doing, science-wise, we're doing God's World. Our system is kind of simple. So like, let me show you all these books right here. All right, let's review with the science. So this is the Abeka Science. Very good, very easy, introduces God, very gentle, but yet thorough. We learn a lot from it. Now I take the information that we glean from these books. Now, do I have a system? Yes, I do as a system. My system is they are in a basket and I pull it out and whatever I feel like reading that day. Like today, I hadn't read this in a bit and I want to talk to you about it before and still make sure it's as good as I thought it is because we're a few chapters in. It really is good. Like it is like, wow. And so thorough. But again, it says level 3. I would say grade 3, grade 4. You could even do grade 5 if you wanted to. And so this book, so once we get through it, I'll pick up this book, right? Like once we're done it, I got another science because there's 2 other sciences. I have the Good and the Beautiful science through here that I don't think I'm going to really continue. I've read a couple stories from it. I'm not talking about the family style units. I'm talking about I'll show it when we get to it. Talking about it's not going to help without showing it to you. But also I want to do Singapore. You know, Singapore math, well, they have a Singapore science. You have to order a few years ahead. So instead of, if you have a second grader, you're going to want to order like a fourth grade, a fifth grade. That's just the way, I don't know why. But anyway, I really want to order some of their stuff. But I was like, no, finish these sciences first. So now we go through these sciences. You're like, hey, how do you memorize so much? How do my kids memorize so much and know so much? If you watch how I teach, you might see it. So I sit down, I open up the book, I read to it during lunch, and we ask questions, right? Well, great. That's why there's activities and there's handwriting and there's all this stuff, because that helps you memorize stuff, right? It does. Well, first of all, some stuff doesn't need to be memorized. And second of all, like that's why they have activity books, to help you memorize it in kind of a fun way. But what we do instead, because handwriting, if you're making your kids read everything, if you're making them handwrite everything and they're young and they have ADHD, they have autism, they have dysgraphia, like my one son has problems with handwriting. I did a handwriting video. You can see what dramatically helps the difference in that handwriting video. But what you'll notice is that they will mother effing hate school. If you make them sit down and do that writing, I just don't recommend it. So what we do as an alternative is I will look through, and in this book here, this is kind of like, you can do it almost like a morning basket, pull it out, a menu, if you will. So this is like the plant recipe from Abeka. This is the plant recipe I got from Abeka, which is oxygen. What do plants give you? They give us oxygen. And what do we give them? We give them carbon dioxide, which is part of the thing to make. So that I felt was important to know. Whereas like on another page, it talks about like lions and prides and stuff, like the pride of a lion is a group of lions. Whatever. I don't think that's important to like memorize. So these I put in, and then once a week for like a year, you can just go through it. And when I'm done, when they know it, I can take it out and put it in my book, the white book I showed you. At the end, I have all their pages from last year. And then I can test them on it, right? And I do test them on it. It's fun. Our tests are super fun and awesome. They are like challenges, which I have showed you in other videos as well. So that's how they know so much, is that I pull out information that is the most important and work on memorizing that, so they don't have to memorize it when they're older. Again, though, you can do that. That's not a big deal. That's just how I do it. So language arts, that means language arts needs to be separated, because I cut down the iPad, because the iPad's so much more enjoyable. So he used to just have a checklist. He used to get up, and when he did the checklist, he could go on the iPad. Well, he would shoot through his checklist. It didn't matter how many chores, it didn't matter how much schoolwork, and so he's not like enjoying the process of doing art. He's just doing it to get it done, right? And you can't make a kid enjoy it. You enjoy that. No. So once I talked to them, we sat down, it was this whole thing. If you have any questions about screen time and how I reduced it and kind of changed the atmosphere of our household, you can put it down in the comments, and again, I'll include it on that video, but I'm not going to get into it here. But anyway, so now there's no screen time until 1 p.m. and then the shows are carefully curated, and your checklist needs to be done by 1 p.m. So that gives you an awful lot of time. So you got nothing else to do. You might as well sit and have some fun next to mom and go through some questions and answers. So this is the big book of science stories. This is the other one that I wanted to cover this year. We've already read 1 or 2 stories from here, okay? Because we learn a lot through reading here. Because again, we have so much time to read. I have so much time to read to them. And that is history. Let me explain to you history. So I have a bunch of history textbooks. A bunch of history texts, because I have one kid who freaking loves history, and one... Now, I'm going to put some books on the screen for you. I'm going to put some books on the screen if your kid hates history or they have ADHD. Put a timeline on the wall. Timeline, someone wrote this in the comments. He has ADHD, or she. I don't know who, if it was a he or she. Wrote in the comments to suggested to put a timeline on the wall. Just a history timeline, very simple, very basic, on the wall, so that they could always reference it, so that they understood. And then I would add to that, and I would say, books like I'm putting on the screen are picture books that are super enjoyable, and sometimes funny, that will help, you know what I mean, piece that together. So you can kind of get like a history curriculum that way. Another thing you can do is, this is My Father's World. This is the story of the U.S. I would say grade 2 or grade 3 started. Not really before, because there's some sketchy stuff goes down, and there's not a lot of pictures. There's not a lot of pictures, and it's heavy text. But the story is enjoyable, and you can read like part 1 and part 2. And so sometimes what I would do is just like during lunch or afternoon snack or wherever, I would read some history. We also love Bible. So I bought every Bible known to man. I like kids' Bible. All the famous kids' Bibles, all the big kids' Bibles. I bought them all. I have them out there, a lot of them. Okay, a dog ate one of them. I know. I feel like so sacrilegious. Like, oh. This Bible's phenomenal. I'm thinking of doing a video where I read you synopsises of the same story from different Bibles so you could see. So this story is amazing. We started reading the Bible, reading all about creation, and then I said, let's flip through and read through some stories about Jesus, like the miracle of Jesus, stuff like that. So we do that again. We do that at dinner because I finish really fast. All right, so another thing that we started to do, I'm just going to pick it up, is so we did, we're doing science. This is 2. Science, grade 2. Again, I love science stuff. Love's a strong word. But I feel like it's concrete information. It's easy to read. It's interesting. I like learning. So we sit next to each other. They sit next to me. And now it says, so you read like one big idea a week. And so there's day 4. And you read like, how are kangaroos in pouches? Gosh, I hope I'm not crooked. Can you see me? Why are kangaroos in pouches? And it talks about marsupials and the life cycle, right? So again, I take this information because we read through it. It says, do one thing, question and answer like every day. Well, dude, that takes a lot of time. If every day you're pulling out, hey, this book. And then every day you're like, do one from this book. And every day you're like, do this one from this book. By the time you gather pencils, switch the mindset, open up the book, it doesn't make for deep work, and it's a lot of wasted time. Whereas if you just pick up this book and read through it till you're done that day. So we covered a whole week, which is 5 days worth of chapters. And it's just a question every day and then some answers, right? Well, again, you're meant to do it every day so that the concepts stay with you. But if you take the concepts from here, which I did, and I put in this book, boom, 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 which is just basically about marsupials. I went on Canva, which is how I make these sheets. I go on Canva. It's fun, and it takes like 5 minutes. It's not like it takes, you know what I mean, a drastic amount of time. So let me show you this one just so you see. So I go on Canva. Canva has a lot of free sheets, like the animals. I didn't know insects were animals. I don't know what I thought they were besides gross, but they are animals. 97%, I believe, of the world is our insects. Is in the animal kingdom. Okay, so Australian marsupials. So they had this list printable and then on Canva for free. And then I just added like things that are unique to marsupials. So again, is that necessary that we know about marsupials? No, but my child inquired about it. So I was like, yeah, we might as well put it down, right? Might as well. So again, then we pick up this book and once a week, twice a week, we go through this book and then I can quiz them on it. Again, I show you in that teaching video how to do it. All right, so this is the Evan Moore, grade 2 science. The answers are in the back of the books for the questions. Okay, so plants and animals, earth contains rock, water, sun and moon and stars, sounds made by vibrating object, magnets. So these are all different things that are covered week by week. Next up, when they have a snack and they're sitting on the couch, vocabulary fundamentals. Vocabulary fundamentals. I have searched and searched and searched and searched and searched and searched and searched for vocabulary works. The best vocabulary works I found is, and I got them on Etsy, is in here, and it is 500 words you need to know by grade 2. If you just put in vocab in Etsy, vocab printables, it'll come up. It's $1 and I like it, but I just wanted additional vocab words because if your kids know about vocab, they can be in the room with anyone and they're not going to be intimidated by what's said to them. That's kind of like when you look at your homeschool goals in life, that's what's super important to me, is that they are able to communicate with other people. And understand, my autistic child was nonverbal until age 5. So this is what it looks like. So these, like this week, I printed off and these are the vocab words. So in his book, where is his book? This book I could put in, and I have, is abolish. And so this is his writing book. So I write the word abolish down and he writes the word abolish. So a word a day. Is kind of thing, and that's what we're working on, and then it's got some activities with it, so it's kind of cool. So that's the best vocab I have found, but I'm trying to find some other vocab stuff because I'm obsessed with vocabulary. One of them, the ADHD, math is his strength, numbers are his strength, challenges are his strength, and the other one, definitions of words, synonyms, antonyms, that is his strength. Like for someone who couldn't speak for the longest time, his vocab is very huge. Now he had to learn every single sound he says, and he's still working on it. He had to learn. So they did not come naturally. And a lot of parents were like, I would see them online saying, oh, I'm so sad that my kid can't say I love you yet. And I'm so sad that my son, and I get it. I get it. But what I would tell myself, I'm so sad that I can't hear him sing. But I would tell myself, and I would tell myself that, you know what? It will be even sweeter when he says I love you to me than it would an average child. And I swear to you, it was. I swear to you. And it doesn't matter if they're using sign language. It doesn't matter if it's a hug. It doesn't matter. It was 10 times at least sweeter. When we go to swim class, I have a child who gets it super easy, and I got that child who has to work and work and work, and we're like 6 weeks in or 8 weeks in, and we're still doing a back float. But do you know what? Those milestones, so much sweeter. I don't say that because they're both nice. They both have different milestones. All 3 of my kids, great. However, sweeter. Sweeter to me. Sweeter to me. To celebrate that, much better in my head and in my heart. He didn't come here to listen to me blabber. Maybe you did. So this is vocabulary fundamentals. So it deals with compound words, homophobes, antonyms, synonyms, which, by the way, I forget what homophobes are. But so it's just got, so yesterday we were sitting down and we just went through like unit 2, which was compound words. And I was like, okay, guys, what compound word will this make? Can you see that? Like, what compound word will this make? What compound word will that make? And I asked each one of them, because they were eating popsicles. If we go outside, you get to have popsicles, although they're homemade and sugar-free, so. But they like them. That's another thing. If you want to know, because diet made a big difference to my autistic child, like huge. The other one, the ADHD, always eats healthy, so I can't tell. But if you want to see, for almost 1 whole year, I took pictures of every single meal I fed them, every single meal. And I did a test on accident. Is my one son, the autistic son, started eating what my stepson would eat. And he stayed at my parents' house, and they had absolute crap for an entire week. Like, between he ate what my stepson ate, and he ate what my mom was feeding him. And it just so happened that it was absolute crap for that week. I don't know what was going on, but drastic change, anxiety higher, wetting the bed, like stuff that he never did. So it's does a huge thing. So vocabulary fundamentals, I can't say if it's like fabulous or not. It's fine. It's fine. If you have something better, great. This is great. This I think is great. Grammar and punctuation. So this was grade 1. We're just starting it, but it's basically like, hey, a sentence. So they're all rules, right? So rule 1, what is a sentence? Rule 2, a sentence ends with a period. Rule 4 is a sentence that asks something ends with a question mark. So you do not have to do these, obviously, at the grade 1 level. I'm doing it just so that we see, do they get these concepts? And a lot of times they will get these concepts from that. So what you can do, and what I do, is I will pick this book out of the basket, read through this book, do this book, and once we're done this book, then I will throw in maybe this book, right? So we do this book for maybe 6 weeks. I focus on this book during snack time or whatever. Again, it takes it's 10 minutes because we're not doing a page a day, a page a day, a page a day, which is what they're intended. And I get that, but at the same time, it's not required. And that's just, I don't find it very efficient. I'm sure it's effective, but I don't find it very efficient. So we do, and I wanted to show you. So if they did handwriting, not only does it take forever, but not from the one child, just from my autistic child. It's almost indecipherable. Like, I get it. I get what's going on. I get it. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah. Now he does like to tell stories well. He does this too. So good on him. Good on him. Love the creativity. But it's just a lot easier for, if I just say, okay, whatever. So this, I want to say this is $14. Make sure you get this cover if this is the one you want. The grammar and punctuation. And again, it's just 25 important punctuation rules, which if you did copy work, you would learn from that anyway. Explode the code that we got. We don't do explode the code. That's not how I taught my kids to read. It's not that I didn't want to teach them like that, but anyway, it didn't work out that way. They needed a specific curriculum to deal with children that other curriculums didn't work for, although we used a ton of reading curriculums. I've gone through them all and I've showed them all to you, so I'm not here to talk about that because now they are reading. But what I am here to show you is that I was considering doing this book, and I don't know that I'm going to. These are a lot of the books we are using since they are starting to read. So this is 1B. So see, these are Abeka readers. You can do 1A, 1B, 1C. When you get up, they are mother effing interesting when you get up into level 2. They are so interesting. But 1A and 1B, they're not that interesting. However, This is 1B. So once you've read 1A book, this is the bookmark that I use. And like today we read, just to see, which it is pretty easy for my one child to read through, and the other one, he's not up to this level yet. So they're completely different reading levels. So it starts with hide and seek, but it also has at the beginning here, it also has different phonetic rules, which I don't listen to those. I don't know what they mean. So we just read the words. And if he's saying it wrong, I just tell him and he says it differently. And then, so we just do this, but we have a lot of reading things. Another, the best, I want to say one of the best reading things we have is this is reading pathways. So reading pathways it's for all ages. And let me show you what it is. So look how you start at the top and it breaks down the words for you. And then at the bottom is to increase reading fluency. So how you sound saying it. So when you start at the top, I show this my kid today. Of course, the ADHD one. If you've seen videos of him, he's exciting. So he goes, ugh. And then he's like, fine, I'll read it. I go, come on, I want to see you read this. Fine, I'll read it. Because I go, you have to read something to me today. So what do you want to read? I want you to read this today. So he goes, bud, 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 pup, 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 pup. It's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to go like bud, bud. I go, okay, at least give me these last two sentences. And then he did. So there's a lot of negotiating with one child. All my other kids, if you're like, hey, we don't do that because of this, they're like, okay, I won't do it. And you're like, okay, great. And then I have him who, that's why I know so much about parenting. That's how I know so much about problem solving. I have a degree in psychology. It didn't help me at all. I have Montessori training, didn't help me at all. What helped me was just reading every single parenting book and watching every single YouTube video and trying everything out and being like, okay, or coming up with stuff on my own based on what I read. So these are books, read alouds, that we are doing. Read alouds, they're not read alouds, they're them reading. That's a separate subject. This is their handwriting. So this is Jacob's Ladder. This is recommended for gifted children. This is elementary level 1, grades 2 and 3. I think it's appropriately aged because my grade 2 and 3-year-old my grade 2 and 3 student can do it. My kindergarten or grade 1 or grade 2 or So it has stories like The Dog and His Reflection. So it has a lot of almost not old wives' tables but fables, and it's got like some good stories, Aesop's fables kind of things going on. But then after it's got these questions like consequences and implications, cause and effect, and sequencing. So it covers all this. Is it necessary to do? It is not necessary to do, but we do it because one of my children I feel is gifted, if you will, linguistically, and the other one who is not gifted, it's kind of a waste of time. Like he can get like a couple of them. But by the time you get to sequencing, which is what happened in the beginning list, again, it says make a list here. We do it orally, or I would make the list. Or I change them so that they're questions that can be answered. So it's up to you if that's something you're interested in. I mean, so then it's got theme and concept. Like, so you basically go, okay, so the dog and his reflection, right? He sees his reflection. He sees that other dog in the reflection has a bone, and then he gets selfish. He jumps in and grabs it. And he loses his bone. So what price did the dog pay for his actions in the story? What did he lose? Think of all the possibilities. Okay, and then what do you think he will do next time he sees his reflection? Okay, so good questions. So it's really, they are good questions. And then we got cause and effect. What caused the dog to lose his bone? What effect did it have on him? And then it's got drawn after a cartoon picture. Yeah, we don't do that stuff. So then sequencing, tell the order of events, right? That's always sequencing. In case you're wondering what sequencing was, it's always the same thing. And theme and concept is what important ideas does the story tell us, and inference. What inference do you make from the sentence? But the greedy dog thought he saw a real dog carrying a bone, much different than its own. Now, in order to teach the inferences, truth be told, I'm going to have to look up what inferences again. But anyway, we've already started using it, and it's pretty good because it's higher order thinking. It's just a step up, right? So that is this child. It's just a step up. Okay, so next up, I'm doing Alpha with the autistic child. Alpha is great for autistic children. They do very well on it because it's you can see it. They have these little, what do you call them? I don't know what you call them, but they're units, and they're actual little thing. The only problem is like each unit is one, except the units are all different colors. If your child cannot deduce that all the different colors, it doesn't matter the color, there's still one unit. That's the big discrepancy. So I do think it's a good curriculum. I did a whole video where I went through every single math curriculum that we bought, because I bought every single math curriculum, every single science curriculum, every single, you name it, I have purchased it, because a couple years ago or 2 years ago, my husband used to get a big stipend from work to spend on homeschooling. So that's how I got them. Anyway, so that's what we're doing. Also comes with videos for a teacher to teach. So I don't read the teacher's manual much. It seems pretty self-explanatory. This is the only handwriting they do, because it's got about 3 equations a page. Not bad. Can't beat that. And the teacher teaches it, which pretty easy. So next up is, I tried to do spiral notebooking where I was like, okay, complete this today. And I've showed you in other ones because they are kind of fun. I'm kind of putting that idea on the back right now. We got going what we got going, and it seems to work quite well. This was a fail only because it's interesting, except that, so the student books are $11. The teacher's manual was $65. And for the level that we're at, academic instruction, I don't know, it's just level 1, I think. But like the story words are cross, wagon, weave, fancy, tame, lively, chore, pile, ripe, and hollow. They're great and stuff, but I thought I could fumble through without a teacher's manual. No, you definitely need, like, so we just opened this up and we're like, what's a pile? What's hollow? Which one's the wagon? Which one's fancy? So I do like it in that sense that we're getting the basics down, but it's kind of a waste because I'm not paying $65 for just a vocab book. Not at this particular time, not at this particular level. In fact, it irritates me. Okay, this is BJU Press. What's interesting about these, BJU Press, I bought them used, this is level 2 and A, is each story teaches you something. It teaches you what fiction is. It teaches you what my youngest calls them non-fictionaries. He would like to read a non-fictionary, please. So cute. You ever have a kid say something that's so cute that you don't want to change it because it's adorable? That's what I feel like. So it's got Seth and the Angry Bug. So Seth and the Angry Bug teaches you about titles. What's a title? What is the importance about a title? What does a title do? And so it repeats like important story things through here before telling you a story. So those are like, I got 2A and 2B to start off. Pretty good so far. Stories are not bad. What's up? Okay. For the kid that's gifted in math, we are doing, so he can already do exponents and he can do multiplication, all that stuff. But I want to go back to, like, we're doing, just to make sure he's got the basics. After all the programs I went through, there were various reasons why I specifically chose this program. The reason I chose this program is that it's mastery based. I needed mastery in order to teach it. I can't teach you how to tell time and then go back to addition and then teach you how to subtract and then teach you some squares and then go back to addition. I'll lose my mind. I won't lose my mind, but I just can't do that. I grew up on spiral. It didn't work well for me at all. So this, and because I've seen how they do multiplication, that's what I did, is I took the multiplication from all the, from like different things and went through the programs to see what their multiplication is like. That's the thing, is if you start on math UC, when you get to multiplication, you can't just switch over because multiplication is not the same. You just have to relearn multiplication. They just teach it differently because it's done by place value, I believe, is the difference. But I really like the higher order thinking. I like that. So we did Math Mammoth as well. The problem with Math Mammoth, extremely overwhelming when you're a little child and you open the book. This is not overwhelming. This is not overwhelming. This is the textbook. So it's teaching number bonds and number stories to go with number bonds, okay? And then look at this textbook. It's very ADHD friendly. It's very basic. It's not blinding. There's not a lot going on. If you have opened a Math Mammoth textbook or seen in my book, again, I love Math Mammoth, and seen all my Math Mammoth videos, the problem is that you open up, there's 25 questions. Well, even though you're not supposed to do every question, when you open that up, that can seem very intimidating to a child, like that's overwhelmed and that doesn't want to do a lot of stuff on something he already knows. So that's why a lot of the online programs didn't work, because if he knows a concept, we want to go through it. Whereas the online programs are like, okay, you know this concept, you have to answer 10 questions. Well, he only wants to answer 2 because he knows it. He just wants to demonstrate that he knows it and wants to move on. These are daily drills that I'm doing. I feel like the one kid that really knows mathematics doesn't necessarily have to memorize his addition facts because he understands the concept of how to work it out. He can get the answer. Whereas the other one, I kind of want to, we're doing a little bit more of the addition drills. So they stand at one side of the room And then they tell you, this is by JDA. This is the Singapore Primary Mathematics. There's 4 different Singapores. There's a very specific reason I chose this. There's a math video on it where I go through all the math curriculums and I explain to you why I chose this specific one versus the other ones and the differences between them, because there are huge differences. Very conscious about that. And I'm certainly not against any other curriculum, but you can't just go there and say, oh, I do Singapore math, when there's just different versions. They're not all the same is what I mean. So if you pick up a dimensions, it's not going to be the same as this. All right, which is okay, as long as you know that. As long as you know that. Okay, so this is by JDA Learning Resources. I have a lot of her stuff. This is timed drills. So it starts off and it teaches you, like in the beginning, it has these answers on the first page, right? And then it has you do them. And so anyway, they're timed drills, whereas I'm like, okay, we're doing the 3+ tables today. Stand at the outside theorem. 3 + 1. What is it? 3 + 2. And you get to take a hop every time you get it. So no handwriting involved in that, but math is something we do handwriting in. We're finally getting close to the bottom. Let's talk geography. I think we are. It feels like there's so many more books. Oh yeah, here's some more history ones. History one's very interesting. See, Becca, this is level 2. This is growing up in Jesus' time. We might go through that today. This is, again, the fate of the future, which I don't think we looked at yet. So I don't know if it's good or not. But these are some more read-alouds we are doing. So history of China. If you are studying China, this book is fantastic. This book weaves stories for the young person about China. Is there pictures in it? Not really, but the chapters aren't very long, and it really does teach you about China. Wow. Geography. So geography is something that my autistic child loves. So we have a giant whiteboard. I think I got it from... So it's got the world on one side. It is a workable, markable map. And I believe we got it from, got the US on one side. So it is dry erase or wet erase. I think we got it from Classical Conversations. I'm pretty sure is where we ordered it from. But I'm sure you can get one from Amazon too. And this is of course the book on maps. Of course the book on maps. Just because reference, got a lot of flags in there at the back. It's got all the flags. I don't know. Anyone know an autistic child who loves flags? Because there are some out there. Same with the Titanic. There are certain topics that just seem to draw them. So this is Flags of the World. So my son knows an intense amount about geography. And what is super fun, so he loves map books. This is a really great map book. This is Where on Earth. And it's the world as you've never seen it. So this is like the nomads. And then it's got plagues that spread. And then it's got, you know, pollution throughout the world. So it's just got the maps and different map keys throughout it. So it's called Where on Earth. Very interesting. Not to be confused with When on Earth, which is same company, same concept, but just different. Okay, where is this history book? Oh, Does Money Grow on Trees? This is the one about the orphan. How he started the orphanage. How he grew up and he was stealing money and stuff, and then he went to jail for it, and then he came out and he decided, yeah, to follow God's way, and he started opening orphanages. Geography facts for sharp minds. Oh, this is a must-have, must-have, must-have. There is a mountain taller than Mount Everest. I know. The Russian and US borders are both reachable on foot. So this is just facts. The national anthem without lyrics. Do you know which world is the largest country in the world? Well, everyone knows. Yeah, right? Russia. But yet population-wise, I want to say India now is, edged out China, but I don't know. But anyway, freaking great book. Geography facts for sharp minds. All right. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it, gleaned something from it, found something interesting. And again, ask me any questions you have down in the comments, and please watch that teacher video just so you can see exactly how I teach. See, I don't know, as an option for you. It's an option. All right. Bye-bye.
Please like and subscribe.
Yes.
And hit the bell for notifications.